Hello and welcome back, adventurers. We are live once again. We've exited our warp bubble. We are locked in orbit around our latest celestial, and our reactors in recharge. So we're ready to go. Once again, and as always, or well, rather, let me back up a little bit. I noticed I got another follow during the time that I was off, off air, off stream. Thank you to them who followed, to the person who followed, and of course thank you for everyone who's been supporting me thus far with likes, follows, and whatnot. I appreciate it. Likes, follows, subscriptions, and so on and everything. Of course, all this isn't really possible without you guys. So and of course it's not said enough here. But with that out of the way, gosh, wow, really nailing it today, aren't I? With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get to it. So last Thursday, we started going down the Amarr frigate tree, and to understand like what kind of things we can do, what frigates we have. I did a bit of a poll to figure out, kind of hope to see like if there was a definitive way I should go or whatever. Got a couple different answers. So I did some PvE exploration type stuff, like just kind of feeling out how PvE works with both the Magnate and the Executioner. The Magnate did not fare so well like I thought it would have. I took you. And the Executioner fared a little better. Today, however, we're going to be doing PvP. Specifically, I'm actually just going to go with the Executioner. As I said last time, PvP in the Magnate just isn't really a thing. It's just not... It's not that it's not capable of it. It's basically meant to be like... go in, grab, hero tackle, that kind of thing. It's really good for like group or small gang usage in like, maybe low sec or null sec, that kind of thing. If you're really hunting somebody down, you need to pin them down real quick so people can warp to you. So it's good. It's got its place. It's got its applications. It's just solo PvP is just not really its place. Executioner, however, I believe we can get some solo PvP love out of that. So we're going to kind of explore that, maybe explore some possible fits, what might look good, maybe get us some places, that kind of stuff. Before that, though, we've got the news. Also, before we get into the news, remember, this is the last day that you can vote on your choice for the CSM. So make sure you do that, because you've got like literally hours. And I'll be going over that. Also, the SAAB map has seen some updates since we checked it last. So we'll be looking at all of that. All right, so without further ado, let's boop on over. Boop. There we go. To start off with, we're going to do the first round, and the first bit of news is the CSM 17 voting is closing soon, and live candidate announcements. And this was posted literally today. Democratic Capsuleers voting for the 17th Council of Stellar Management concludes tomorrow, June 14th at 1100 UTC, alongside the Rewards of Democracy daily login event. I might add, I have gotten every single one. I'm so proud of me. Logged in every day to get those things. Alongside the Rewards of Democracy daily login event. So head on over to the voting page and cast your vote for the candidates before the ballots close. Just as a reminder, you can check out the details of each candidate if you wanted a rough overview of what each candidate's topics of expertise are. All Omega clones with an account of over 60 days old are eligible to vote in the elections. After a few days of counting and confirming all of the votes, there will be a live announcement stream on Thursday, June 16th at 2000 UTC. Over on Twitch TV/CCP, where we'll break down the voting process and how the new CSM was decided. But do not worry if you can't make it, because shortly thereafter there will also be a news article put out sharing the news as well. it's also your last chance to snap up the current 20% discount on 1 month and 12-month Omega in the New Eden store. So they're doing a market roll here on this one. We can't wait to see how the new CSM is going to look. So yeah. So yeah, we're really down to the wire here. If you haven't voted yet, if you haven't had the chance to vote, please do so tonight. As always and forever, I'm seriously hoping that Jinx wins a seat. It'd be great if we could see him on the CSM, along with Mark Resurrectus. Are probably our only really, from what I understand at least, our only really viable like soul wormhole, like hardcore wormhole candidate. So here's hoping that they both get a seat this year. Next one up is the Battle of the Bricks. Eve has been challenged. Constructive Capsuleers, the Eve community has been challenged. The players of Star Citizen have the pilots of New Eden in their sights, and we need to respond with Lego bricks. The Eve team adores Lego. Many of us built our first spaceships from the plastic bricks long before New Eden was brought to life. When we saw the Star Citizen team share an amazing Lego custom build from their community, we couldn't resist playfully suggesting bringing a Lego venture to the party. SC, can I bring a venture? Within minutes, our space friends and bitter rivals on the Star Citizen team issued us a challenge. Shall we challenge our communities to a Lego build-off? Of course, we accepted. How could the Eve community not step up to prove who puts the most passion into building out their fleets? The challenge is on. That means it's time to see who uses Lego to build the most amazing spacecraft from EVE Online or Star Citizen. All you need to do is think about which ship seen in New Eden you might want to reimagine in Lego. And yes, to any Star Citizen players reading, you are allowed to build an Eve ship if you want. But if you want to submit a Star Citizen creation, then check out their side of the challenge. So that's kind of an interesting little thing coming up there. It runs, the challenge runs from the 13th of June to the 27th of June. To enter, once you've picked your ship, you can build it physically using your own bricks or digitally with the official easy-to-use free software Lego Studio, which lets you build using an endless supply of digital bricks. If you go with a physical build, you only need to submit a photo using the hashtag Battle of the Bricks. Digital builders, meanwhile, will just need to submit their Lego Studio file to communityteam@ccpgames.com. There will be prizes for the best photo submission, but if you are a physical builder, we'd encourage you to recreate your model in Lego Studio, because only entries that come in as a Lego Studio file will be eligible for the grand finale live build event. Why enter? Most importantly, we need to triumph over Star Citizen's players. This is a challenge to see which community can do the best, most creative, innovative things with Lego. And what better prize could there be than showing which spacefaring gaming community is the best when it comes to building spacecraft? But there's some actual prizes to be won as well. Everything we culminate at a special finale event later this summer, where the EVE Online community team will off against, I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be offer, against the Star Citizen community team. Face off against them in a grand finale on Twitch. We'll select the most impressive 3 digital EVE submissions to take to Twitch, while our Star Citizen friends pick their preferred trio, and then build the best single entry from each community live on Twitch. The top 3 builds our judges select as finale candidates will receive a year of Omega subscription and a ticket to FanFest 2023. As the FanFest in the year that EVE turns 20, you can be sure it will be an EVE community gathering like no other. And of course, the top entry will be built live on Twitch and become part of EVE history. Meanwhile, 3 photo submissions will be selected at random, each receiving a stunning 3D printed EVE model. As for which game community will triumph overall on the day, you'll have to wait and see what happens. As if all that weren't enough, as part of the live streamed finale that the EVE Online community team and Star Citizen community team will go head-to-head in some of the most ridiculous and excruciating challenges we can think of. and all for a good cause, Extra Life. Program of Children's Miracle Network Hospitals. Extra Life is a fundraising program of the Children's Miracle Network Hospitals. They fundraise year-round to change kids' health to change the future. Donations go to member children's hospitals to fund critical life-saving treatments and healthcare services, along with innovative research, vital pediatric medical equipment, and child life services. And I forgot to turn you off. There. Now you're off. Okay. Okay, back to the fun. Importantly, this challenge isn't about who has the biggest Lego parts collection or the most experience with custom Lego builds. We'd be thrilled to see some Eve-playing master builders join the challenge, but we're also looking to reward creativity, ingenuity, and playful ideas. If you can reproduce a cruiser in 10 bricks or less, perfect. Maybe you want to see what you can do using only the pieces from a single official Lego set. That sounds amazing. Have hundreds of thousands of database Lego parts sorted meticulously? We can't wait to see your creation. All that's left then is for you to pick a ship and get building. Just make sure everything is awesome. Oh, what a slogan. All right. So yeah, Lego challenges. For those of you that don't know, Star Citizen is a game that has been in alpha for a very, very long time. And it has garnered a lot of community support through fundraisers, through just cash. They keep reaching out and doing various events. They have free fly weekends, so you can try it out. I know back when I first got involved into Star Citizen, you only had to like spend a little bit of real cash, like $5 or $10, in order to actually get access to their alphas, to their betas. And I'm not sure if that's still the same way there. I think my key's even still valid. But needless to say, they've been working on like this single player for the past few years. They've gotten like some top tier talent for some of the cinematic scenes, and they just kind of keep structuring and iterating, and they release ships on a regular basis as well. A couple years back, they released a first person, third person shooter type, like exiting your ship type of thing beyond just the hangar bay that you originally got access to. It's really well done. What they've done with it is actually really good. So I'm not knocking them in the least bit. I actually think it's great. I think it's great that there's a different perspective in space games. We've got so many different things to kind of pick and choose and to kind of craft our own, just kind of play in our own desired universes, right? EVE Online is only like one slice of the sci-fi pie. There's so many others out there. And Star Citizen is shaping up to be this really big, comprehensive, kind of all-in-one thing. Or at least that's, I think, what they're trying to go for. And it's highly ambitious, and it may be an alpha for the, I don't know, the rest of this century. Who knows? But at any rate, if you get the chance to try it out, if you get the chance to play in one of their free fly weekends, I definitely encourage you to do so. You want to pick up a joystick. I think I use the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro, and it's just for a basic joystick, it's really good. Gets me through games like Star Wars Squadrons, or even the old Star Wars X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter games. It also does a pretty darn good job again, in other games like I actually haven't tried it in Elite Dangerous. And let's see what else. I'm trying to think of what else I've actually played with it in, but I think that's pretty much it. Oh, the X games. I don't know how I could possibly forget the X games, like X the Threat Extension, X2, X3, X4 Foundations, things like that. Those are some great games. So yeah, if you get the chance, try it out. Like it's good stuff. Star Citizen, at the very least, it's nice to get out there and try a new game, right? And if there's no cost to it other than the massively large download size that it was, because I think it was like over 100 gigs a couple years back. I can't imagine how much it is now. Gosh, but yeah, if you get the chance, give it a try. If you can afford that massive download bandwidth. Man, it was huge. Anyways, let's get back to the news. So, as I said, the SAAB map got some updates. We've got some more gain from PIBC, Pan Intergalactic Business Community, from Pandemic Horde, which I believe we found out they were like renters. Also, East Wind grabbed some SAAB and O-Mist. Red Alliance lost some SAAB and Faithabolus. I know I'm just breaking that up. I'm destroying that name. Legion of X-Death gained some SAAB and Faith as well. So if we look over here, Pan Intergalactic, they got a little bit more SAAB up here. They're obviously filling out a little bit. There's Legion of X-Death. Here's Razor Alliance. Oh. There we go. Let's see here. Inn's Mother, Scalding Pass, Great Wildlands. There's East Wind. There's O-Mist. Oh, clicked the wrong thing. O-Mist is right here. There's Red Alliance. Star Allies. So it's like kind of right around in here. Because yeah, here's Faith. So it's all kind of just right up in this area right here. They're kind of fighting over everything. Those are the main ones. Nothing else has really changed beyond that. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see how things go on them. As we can also see, the influence or the coalition influence map has changed as well. O-Mist has gone more into the neutral states, whereas Faith, Fire lost some SAAB and Faith, and then they gained that one system, which we already know about. And of course, because Pan Intergalactic did that, PanFam Renters, of course, gained more space. It's just more than reshuffling. Perhaps there will be room in the future to reshuffle drone lands then, right? Maybe not. Who knows, right? It's Eve. Anything can happen. O-Mist, of course, neutral states, as we can see. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the coalition side. The faction warfare got a little bit of a change. In Black Rise, Galente lost 2 systems, Caldari gained 2, and in the Bleaklands, Minotaur lost a system and Amarr gained a system. Go Amarr! Congratulations, guys, you earned it. Interestingly enough, a guy I know, when I was talking to him over the weekend, I mentioned I was curious as to like what kind of Amarr ships, Amarr frigates they wanted to see, maybe perhaps featured. I was just getting some general ideas, some kind of additional information, and he mentioned a Rifter, and I was like, well, that's not an Amarr ship. And then he responded with, actually, if you think about it, all Minmatar ships are Amarr ships. And you know, he's not wrong. It's all built on Amarr technology. All of this was built with Amarrian technology. So, kind of an interesting little kind of back-end lore thing there, I thought. But anyways, let's see here. Black Rise. Here's Black Rise. So this is probably these 2 systems right here. These are 3 right here. So it would be this one, and I'm betting it's this one right here. And then Amarr or Minmatar lost over here. This is probably the system right here, because hostile contested. Sovereignty changed. So SAAB was changed. I want to say it was changed right there. It's kind of hard to see. That's the only one that really makes sense. It looks like they've actually been kind of busy too. They've been claiming some of this area right here. So that's actually pretty interesting stuff. SAAB was likely changed. I don't really see annotations, so but anyways, that's pretty much it. As far as the news goes, that's where we are at. Oops, wrong thing. You guys don't get that. All right, let's boop on over. Boop. Hopefully it will load. There we go. Well, it takes a second these days. I've got a couple things. Oh yeah, hey, that mission offer finally expired. That's great. I did get a bunch of unallocated skill points to use, so we're gonna go ahead and use those real quick. We'll probably do Web Rigging 3. Let's see if we can get something. Maybe that'd be better to have over there. EM armor. Kind of wish there was just a way to make like an easier transition on what we've got. Launcher rigging, mass production, repair drone operation, remote hull sensor linking, shield rigging, target painting, thermal armor compensation, weapon disruption. Let's do because like all these rigging and linking and such, those would actually be better to apply. Oh yeah, me. Can't find it. One other thing I have to do on the back end. And by the way, guys, I am sorry. I did have a widget that showed you guys like what was playing in the background. I'm not sure why it's not working anymore. It's something I'll have to look into. I noticed it was having trouble last week, and now this week all of a sudden it's just not working. So I will try to get that fixed so we know. But it's all just so you're all aware, it is all Stream Beats by Harris Heller. Definitely take a look at it. It's some really good music. Like that's all I play on stream is Stream Beats. So, you know, it's free. It's not you know, it's not supposed to be copyright strikeable, that kind of stuff. So it's really good music. Well, I think it might just be easier. Get the armor compensations up here. Uh-oh. Not sure what happened to it. The whole thing just froze up on me. There it is. It's way down there. I don't really... What? I'll just actually take the... That way, at the very least, That's a little better. Okay, let's see what happens when I apply this. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be... Energy weapon rigging is gonna hit a lot of that anyways, so... There, let's just do that. That'll be fine. I... Just redo some... Let's do launcher rigging.
Please take extra care during our renovation works.
There, that just kind of gives it a chance to get up there at least a little bit, because you're gonna need those skills anyways in order to do kind of some of the things you want to do. At any rate, that kind of takes care of some of that. Each. Oh yeah, it's probably worth it to do the Eve server pulse at the moment. We are looking at 15.3k accounts online, capsuleers online. How many of them are actual players behind a keyboard? We will never know. So, now that with all the extra stuff out of the way, what have we got? Okay, so we've got the Executioner. And as we know, last time when we messed around with the Executioner, we didn't bother fitting it with, say, like any kind of a way to rep itself. It was really just a test. Excuse me. And in all honesty, if I was going out with the option of, you know, taking this ship out for more like sustained PvE, I probably would fit some kind of a rep. It did work out okay, but I just don't think like the extra iStab was really worth it. And I believe I mentioned that last time too. And that's okay. Like, everyone's gonna kind of have their own flavor of how maybe something like that should be done. And that's for a PvE centric fit, right? So what about PvP then? Okay, well, as we know from messing around with doing Corvette PvP, there's only so much that can like legitimately, like that you really legitimately need to do. You need to be able to survive long enough to take out your target. You need to pin down your target, and you need to essentially hold them in place, and you need to be able to do better than them at you know, you need to survive long enough to take them out, and you need to hold them in place long enough for you to be able to take them out, or take them out before they can get help. Now, a couple things that help us do that. Actually, before we get into that, let's get a bit of a refresher on the bonuses for the Executioner. An Amarr frigate bonus per skill levels, 10% reduction in small energy turret activation cost, 5% bonus to small energy turret damage, and it's got a roll bonus of 80% reduction in propulsion jamming systems activation cost. So, meaning that if I were to attach a Weber, or actually I think it's specifically just the Scram or the disruptors, the warp scrambler or warp disruptors, if I was specifically to use one of those, we would actually run into a situation where activating it does not cost nearly as much energy capacitor to use, which actually really helps us out if we're trying to do a number of things. But the question also is, what is it that we want to do? Like, how do we want to approach this type of a ship and make it viable? Now, if we were doing something along the lines of PvP, let's strip the fitting. And then let's also take this stuff out of here, which we do have some stuff in here, so we might consider selling that before we go any further. Like when we actually go to buy these parts. So, you know, what do we want to do? We've got a couple different options. And if we do this right, like we can start with the high slots. We can't do things like a disruption field generator. Like none of that kind of stuff really fits. So let's filter the hull restrictions. That way they're out of there. That actually makes this a little bit easier. So you got two different kinds of really it's just like two different main kinds of how you want to PvP in EVE Online. You've got fast and kitey, which basically means you zip around everywhere and they can't catch you. But if a web or even if a scram catches you, it's not a big deal. But if a web catches you, you're basically dead. Or you've got tanky and brawly. Essentially, the idea is that you're dishing out more DPS than the opponent, and you're burning them down quicker than they can burn you down. You have enough tank to sustain against their damage, and that's what essentially lets you do the PvP thing that you want to do. The Executioner is not really meant to be tanky. It's meant to be kitey. So you want to pay attention to speed. You want to pay attention to range. And all these things you want to pay attention to range. But like, one of the things you could do is like you could go with pulses, say. So you could do, like, in my case, I have the ability to use T2s. You probably want to use like dual lights, I believe. So tracking is higher. I think we found out that Gatlings. Oh wow, it didn't. Why don't you do the thing? That's strange. Seems like I'm just having more and more troubles. There we go. Yeah, the Gatling actually has more. You could do polarized. A polarized fit would be a lot of fun, but it's expensive. I don't know that I would do that. Just as an aside, by the way, if you ever decide to do a polarized fit, I want you to pay attention that anytime you attach a polarized weapon to your ship, your resistances go to 0. All your resistances go to 0. The only defense you have is whatever power you have in your shield, your armor, and your hull. Like whatever hit points you have there. That's your EHP. Your EHP is literally however much you can squeeze out of your shield, armor, and hull. It's an interesting ride, and I've never done it, but it's something I'm willing to try on stream. So we'll come back to that. But just keep that in mind. So like, yeah, the Gatling pulse laser, we've got the dual light. You know, so of the three, the Gatling is highest on the kitey scale. Also, it doesn't have a lot of range. Now, as far as charges go for it, conflag is kind of the king when it comes to something like that. You can also do Scorch and get yourself more optimal. Of course, you're running into problems with turret tracking at that point. So like conflag would be your, well, it lowers your tracking as well. So I think it's multi-frequency. Yeah, multi-frequency really kind of builds that up. As an aside, you could also even do an Imperial Navy multi-frequency, and kind of really, like, you get the same kinds of bonuses with a little bit more DPS on that as an overall, I believe. Yeah, just a little bit more DPS. A lot of people, though, if you're using Tech 2 lasers, you know, you're using the Tech 2 ammo. And then that's true for any weapon that you get. You know, you use Tech 2, you use Tech 2. Or you use the faction. Because if you're going in for PvP, that's kind of what you're going for. So yeah, like, we'll go ahead and we'll load up with 2 additional Gatling lasers. Now we're going to need some utility. Oops, I'm clicking the wrong things. Where did I go? There we go. Okay, and I'll do conflag. I think we'll do standard. We want to also be able to kind of control the fight, like the range, right? So we probably want to do like conflag. We want to do Scorch will get us a little bit more range. And then was it X-ray? No. I think it was standard gets us in the middle a little bit. And you can flip out these lasers like so quick if you do it right. But rather than doing standard, your best bet's probably some multi-frequency. Conflag gets you the same thing, but you get more DPS out of conflag than you do multi-frequency. So it's better to stick with conflagration. I think it's radio. I think radio's your one. Yeah. Yep. So you'd probably, now granted, if you have to go all the way out to radio, you're probably not going to be in a good spot. So, and then you want to do, okay. And then you've got a utility high slot which we can or cannot use. Hey Yelga, how's it going? Welcome to the show. I really wish this thing would like beep at me when I actually get like chats, so I can see when there's a chat going on when I'm like in the moment. So yeah, like I said, we've got a utility high slot essentially. Like we can fit that with whatever we want. We're gonna ignore that for the moment, and we're gonna go into medium. Out of water tank spring a leak. Oh no, that's. Did you manage to get it all cleaned up? Because that sucks. That really sucks. I've heard of those happening. Thankfully, I've never had to experience one. But I'm glad things. I mean, other than that, I'm glad things are all right. Because that can be really hard to deal with. Make sure you like stick a fan in there or something in that area so that way it dries fast. Because you definitely don't want it to mold or anything in that area. It's because mold is impossible. Okay. Okay. Oh, a water tank. This wasn't your hot water heater? This was just a water tank? Bottled water. I mean, bottled water is also not bad. Like, that's what we drink here on the ship. Bottled water. No, seriously, like that's mainly what I do drink, is I drink a lot of bottled or filtered water. In the Midwest, breaking the fourth wall here, but in the Midwest, it's better to drink bottled water than it is to not. Um, but I'm glad you caught it early. The mains water. Oh, you got a well pump. Okay, yeah. Well, you probably drink bottled water anyways, then. Let's see here. Propulsion jamming. Now, since we're going into low sec, what we want to do is we want to make sure we grab. Here. I think a faint epsilon scope will give us a little. Yeah, it gives us a little bit more range. We could also probably do a disruptor. I might just. Okay, no, we don't need anything like that. Yeah, we'll just do a scram. Gosh. I'm sorry you had the problems with the well pump, though. I know that sucks. I've actually helped my in-laws put a new pump in their well, and that was an interesting experience, by the way. That was a super interesting experience. Also, I prefer using like a Weber. So you know what? I will go ahead and do a disruptor. Use a scoped. This, while the range is more than what we need, oftentimes, like when you're warping around, you tend to not be in range right away. You have to actually burn to them. So having that 22 kilometers buffer is actually really good. And then of course the web of fire, just to make sure you hold them in place. You know, those are kind of things you probably would want to do. There are other options too that you can do. Like you could do a warp disruptor and a target painter. Target painters are very interesting things, as they essentially make it easier to target and hit. They blow up the signature, so rather than appearing like this, you go like that. I probably shouldn't have done that to the mic, but you get what I'm saying. Like, just blow it up real big. It makes them a lot easier to hit. And actually, you know what? Let's do that. Let's do a phased scoped. And this will still, like, the range is still far. It modifies the signature radius, and it should go very well with our Gatling lasers. But in this case, perhaps now we could do... Yes. Let's go to the focused, which gives us higher DPS. Still using conflag, radio, and scorch, but now we're going to be able to hit a lot easier. And should perform the way we want it to. Plus, with the disruptor, they won't be able to get away unless they have a micro warp drive and can burn out. And then finally, of course, the last thing we're going to want, certainly not the least, is going to be an afterburner ourselves. And I'm going to go ahead and stress afterburner as opposed to like a micro warp drive, simply because you're not, like, you're running 1.2 kilometers a second. That's fast on an afterburner. We don't need to zip around, you know, like you know, like we're on a sugar rush. I mean, we're still going to be zipping around like we're on a sugar rush, but you know, you don't need to necessarily zip around like you're on a sugar rush. Now, obviously, we're still stable even with all of this attached. So the next thing we're going to want to focus on is how to it's kind of interesting. We could do a signal disruptor. Essentially just like, and these signal disruptors are interesting, distortion amplifiers, because you know, if we were using ECM and say we were in a group, this would actually be really, really good, because it makes ECMs work better. So my phone just tried to turn on. I thought I was talking to it. Yeah, that's all it was doing. It was just thought that I was activating it. But more to the point, we're actually focused more on how we can keep ourselves alive long enough. For me, I would say probably do a reactive. That way your each shot successively does less and less damage, because most of the time your enemy is only going to do 1 or 2 damage types. So you're wanting to take advantage of that. You want to have some protection and then have more as the battle progresses. Hopefully it won't take too much time, but on a frigate, like we're not if this was a cruiser, that actually might be a really good idea. But for a frigate, it might actually just be better to try to plan for, like, I mean, you could do like a multi-spectrum, but you're probably going to be better off just trying to fill these holes, like an explosive, a compact explosive, and then what is that? Kinetic. Yeah, so something like that. We also have enough room that if we wanted to do a plate, we could. I don't think we could go up to 200. Well, we could. We could go up to 200. It does drop our speed, and it does make us a little bit heavier. But, you know, we drop in some rolled tungsten, you know, and suddenly we have ourselves a viable 3.2k EHP fit. And that's not too bad, and that's before rigs. So then we can go to rigs, and we can determine kind of what do we want to do. So we notice that our thermal damage isn't, our resistance for that isn't very good. I'd probably try to fill that hole a little bit. Here we go, armor. So here's the thermal reinforcer. That'll bring that up a little bit. And that fills it up quite nicely on top of that. We could do, if we wanted to, we could do some bulkheads, but again, that really affects your structure more than anything else. A Trimark armor would again fill up our armor, but it doesn't really, like, it still drops our speed. So we're kind of stuck there. So this is actually pretty good as far as where we want to be for, I think, for defense. And this is where we need to think about if we want to utilize that empty high slot. There are a couple of different ways we can utilize that high slot before we finish filling up our rigs. We could do things like, we could scan, we could use a micro smart bomb, which of course would expand everything, which is terrible. And then we'd probably have to readjust the fit as a whole if you really wanted to go the smart bomb route, which might not be bad given the fact that something like even like a micro EMP, right, that takes something that can take care of the drones. Because, like, say you're fighting somebody with drones, right? You don't want to deal with the drones too much. Could also do things like you could just throw a launcher on there and just throw some fireworks at someone just to just say, hey, we're having fun. You know, that's an option too. But probably the biggest thing you'd probably want to do is either like a small newt. So like we could do like a gremlin compact, which of course will deplete our own cap, but it will deplete theirs as well. So if you get the right target, 50 gigajoules gone. You know, I mean, look at our ship, right? We have 135, or sorry, 450 gigajoules. So 50 gigajoules gone in per 6 seconds. So that's going to be 6, 12, 18, 24 seconds. So almost half a minute, and they're halfway gone. That's one option. Another option would be to do something like a NOS. You could do like a nave scoped, or well, probably a ghoul compact is what you'd want to do. This would be well within your range, and it would help keep you stable. Say they had a way to NOS you down. It also drains them out as well, so it tends to kind of help you out if you need to go in that direction. And in this case, maybe perhaps you could drop, say, the compact plates and put on an armor repper. Maybe you'd want to do something like, what's it called? An ACM repper? I think is what it's called. Yeah, small ACM compact armor repper. Or, no, sorry, an ancillary. The ancillary would specifically allow you to use nanite paste in it, which would allow you to essentially heal yourself very quickly, so you could stay in the game longer, you could stay in the fight longer. And that's a highly viable strategy. So as an option. And for the purposes of this, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I think I actually like the idea of going with a newt. Probably use the gremlin compact. Again, it's a matter of staying within range, but we're going to be kind of staying within range anyways. We're going to need to, since this is more of a close encounters kitey fit. And I'm probably mixing this wrong, just for the record, which is unsurprising for me because I'm terrible at PvP. But at any rate, so the last thing we would want to do is finish filling up our rigs. We can see that we need some, we don't have enough for power. So let's go ahead and go into our engineering rigs. Let's filter for hull. And right here, here's an ancillary router. So problem solved. The last thing we'd probably want to do, because as you can see, we've got pretty good DPS, but we really want to kill them as fast as possible. We only have about 50 seconds to do as much damage as possible before we burn out. From here, given how much calibration we have and given how much time we have, our best bet's probably going to be to go and find a good energy weapon rig, and I would do the collision. I mean, it really does bring it up quite a bit, with our only downside being that we need more power grid. So I would say if you need more power grid at this point, look into increasing the ancil from a Tech 1 to a Tech 2. It will raise the cost, as you can see, but it gives you plenty of power grid to do what you need to do. Another option would be to look and see what we can use. So like, let's say you don't want to go that route, and this is also a viable option as well. You can stick with the Tech 1 and say, instead of going with the faint scoped you could go with the initiated compact warp disruptor. Maybe that only does with CPU. Same with this one, I think. We don't actually need that much range, so you could do peripheral compact. Nope, it's the same thing. Rolled tungsten. So it might be, this might be, nope, okay. These are compact. Already as small as they can be. Okay, so yeah, I mean, our options, I guess really our only option is actually to upgrade the Ancil in this case. And then we have what we need. In this case too, it also lets us know that we have a little bit more oomph for the power grid. So if you have, say, the option to do steel plates too, you could try that. In our case, it still didn't work out. Maybe you have the option to do membrane too, right? Okay, so we can do that. Maybe we could do explosive too. That just gives us a little bit more capability, and in this case we cannot. Our CPU is over spec, so bring something a bit less broken. A breacher. What is that? That's is that a frigate or not a frigate? I know it's Minmatar. Okay, Minmatar frigate. Missile and rocket. Okay, yeah, I'm down for that. Let everyone know we're gonna PvP again. I'm down for that. Let me just finish up the build, and I am more than happy to do that. Now, in our case right here, the explosive damage resistance was the one we struggled with the most. So if you're going to Tech 2, either one of these two, or keep them Tech 2, keep the explosive one Tech 2 and make the other one compact. By and large, it's just going to benefit you more, and this way, at the very least, you don't have to worry quite as much. And also, yeah, feel free to bring whatever you want, as broken as you want. I don't expect these ships to live. I just expect to have fun and show good times. So that's all I'm after. But yeah, so this is pretty much our fit. Remember, as I've said, you have the channel points, you are welcome to name it. Otherwise, it's just going to be called Name Me until someone finally claims that. Now, as let's see here, as an aside, let me bring this up for anybody that's curious as to how this looks. Let me, oh, that's because they're there. Okay, there we go. So anyone that wants to see it, and maybe copy this build. It's not the greatest, like I said, but I think it'll get us through a scrap or two. Potentially. It'll definitely be a good time. So there you go. If anybody wants to clip it, that's the fit right there. I am going to be saving this to my own. Just gonna do PvP. That way I can come back to it later, because we will likely want to use it later. and I'm going to actually buy this entire fit, because I would much rather keep the executioner we have. One of the things that I want to do is I do want to take the executioner in the PvE executioner. I want to take it and modify it slightly, and then see if I can actually run it through a T0 Abyssal that it might actually work well with. I think that would actually be a lot of fun, and it might even get us a little bit of ISK, which is great. That's exactly what we need. Go ahead and buy all of this. Yes, I'm going to buy that. And then let's fit it. That's not what I wanted to have. These are lists. Where is...
Pilots are reminded not to engage in devices designed to expose the agent miners or sold to sea, and that all items are sold to sea.
Okay. Well, let's unfit these modules. And let's see if it will let me... See if it'll let me do it now. Because I'm missing radio S. Oh, that's why. There we go. Okay. Okay. So unfortunately, I screwed up my PvE ship. But on the bright side, the PvP one is ready. Okay, can't do it directly like that. In the meantime, while Yelga is getting ready, let me...
Please be careful of the debris as you are undocking, and remember to turn your shield and armor hardness on before exiting the station.
Small focused. This active ship. Let's see. Ah, there we go. Optical combats. Tracking speed. I believe I had these and a damage control too as well. That should have been everything. Okay, so now we just need to figure out where we are going to meet. Would be a good spot. Kind of thinking maybe the same place we did last time. Shouldn't matter. Okay, well, if it doesn't matter, then let's do... Let's do Sobaseki.
Pirate activity seems higher than usual.
It's one jump out of Jeddah, and it... I think that'll be fine. I just want to make sure we're not, like, dealing with a lot of traffic and causing problems. At Sun? Yeah, Sun works. So Sobaseki at Sun. Okay. Let me link it to you. All right. And let's let the guys know too, 'cause I bet they want to. I bet they're going to be interested. See if maybe we can get anybody interested. They liked our fight last time, so we'll give it we'll see if they like it. All right, I'm gonna start heading in that direction. Hopefully before Jitta crashes on us, because wow, it seems like it's extra laggy today. And, whew, wow. That was super painful today. He wastes no time. Yep. I'm gonna accept. Let me get to sun. All right. All right, Yaga, I am ready whenever you are. Ready. We'll just wait for the lockup. All right. Let's do it. Whoa. As you guys can see, there are drones. So there are multiple options for taking care of drones. You can do something like targeting them. Obviously, the easiest way to take care of the drones is, in fact, to blow up the ship in question. If they'll let you grab them. Missiles income. Okay. That's strange. Not a valid target. Interesting. As you can see, whew, man. Now it's my game. Oh, is it really? So yeah, as you can see, Yelga says he's capped out, which is the most important thing that you can have happen to your enemy. Because if that happens to them and they are defanged, as the breacher has been, it's game over. Just like that. Good fight, Yelga. I'll get your stuff for you. Get it back to you. Oh no, I'm sorry. You almost had me though. I mean, gosh. Oh, you got, I mean, you still got the shield, the abyssal shield extender though, so. I can't get all the cap boosters. You had cap boosters. You weren't capped out. Oh yeah, okay. You were doing good with drone control though. And for those of you watching, what Yelga was doing, at one point I had the drones targeted, and then at another point, I did not, and that's because Yelga recalled his drones and then put them back out, which meant that I had to spend time to relock the drones in order to actually fight. But I actually had a really hard time controlling how the drone, your newt plus booster reload can be capped at that point. Oh, okay. But I had a really hard time, like, reloading the drones, or both holding Yelga down with the warp disruptor at the same time as having to do the drone control thing on my end. And that was actually kind of my folly. Again, like I said, I kind of suck at PvP, so that was kind of proof of that. But like he said to me, at least in the private chat, once you take out the drones on the breacher, in this case, it was all my game. And then of course capping him out also helped out too, so then he couldn't escape. So, and here's the kill report. Yelga, do you want me to do a trade, or are you in station here so I can get you your stuff? As you can see, guys, Yelga had an abyssal warp disruptor and a small abyssal shield extender. You sure? Okay. All right, if you are sure. Well, thank you very much. So this was a good fit. This was a good, it was a really good fight. It was a really good show of how to fight in a frigate like the Executioner. I was bouncing around a lot. I was not able to keep range in the beginning, but range was less important because I had drones to worry about. Until I could deal with the drones and defang him, I couldn't actually move in for the kill, just because of how things go. Yeah, that would actually be fun. Let me go repair, and I'm more than happy to stick around. Let me drop this stuff off at Jeddah, and then I'll come right on back. So Yelga wants to try again, this time with the Tristan. This should be a very interesting fight. As you all remember, last time we fought, Yelga used the Tristan and just completely obliterated my Corvette, which I'm gonna emphasize again, it was fine. But this ought to be interesting. So we fought Amarr versus Minmatar, and now we're going to be fighting Amarr versus Galente, I believe is what the Tristan is. Tristan, I believe, is Galente. Please tell me I'm right. No? Yes, I'm right. Ha! Look at me go. So let me get back to Jeddah Trade Hub. I will heal up, drop off this loot, and then we'll go. And keep in mind, guys, technically speaking, I'm the one at a disadvantage. Yelga can see everything that I'm doing on screen. Can see has watched my entire fit get built from the ground up, so knows everything. But needless to say, we're still doing it. Still doing the thing.
Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
Okay. Let's get took. EMP. Oh no, that's okay. You could have left it on. You don't have to. I have conflag. I did have. That's why I was confused. I have scorch. I have conflag, which I've got fitted. And I think I accidentally put in the standard. That's what it was. I'm supposed to have standard in there. Okay. And then let's not forget to actually repair. All right. Let's go back to, what was it, Sobaseki, I think. Tristan is known to be just as fast and light as the Executioner. Its big pull is drones. So the biggest thing that I'm going to be looking for is not getting capped out, because my weapons do rely very, very heavily on cap. So there it is. There's Sobaseki. So that's going to be a big thing. And also I'm going to have to worry about those drones. Now, an interesting thing on the side as far as the Tristan is concerned, for those of you that are interested. Even DPS. Yeah, I am very interested to see how it'll go. Yelga. Let's see here. Now, the biggest thing that we're going to be worried about, let's see if it will show me calibration. It does not, so I'll have to just jump into this. Drone bay's got 40 cubic meters, and it's got 25 megabits a second for drone bandwidth, which means it can field a full flight of drones, and on top of that, it can house almost 2 full flights of drones as well. So this could very well be a very long battle. A very grueling battle, depending upon how things go. So let's go ahead and get to the sun. Let's see here. I think we have to reinitiate the duel. This should be in here, yeah. All right. So let's get that duel underway with our dreaded enemies, the Intergalactic Tax Haven Corporation. All right, ready whenever you are, Yelga. Let's do it. Whew. Now in this case, I'm able to go after the Tristan directly, rather than worrying so much about the drones. As long as I can keep them within range, I can essentially beat him. But in this case, I can't do that as long as I'm dying from these drones. And there they go. Oh, wow. And I stopped there at the last minute because I was like, oh, right, well, I mean, that was a lot of drone DPS on me. 30% structure. Yeah, good fight. Good fight. It was a lot of drone DPS on me. It was, I mean, the Tristan was definitely like paper. It was going down pretty hard. The biggest thing about the Tristan, though, was that, like I said, it fielded that full flight of drones with no way for me to really mitigate a lot of that damage very easily. You know, and even the Tristan itself was doing damage, I believe. So let's look at where is it? Login messages. Here we go. As we can see, the Tristan itself, you know, it had its own there's the particle accelerator, PvP, and there's his Tristan. So, you know, it has its own weapons. It's blasters. Being blaster fit, it doesn't have a lot of, you know, accuracy. So I could have actually expanded out my accuracy and controlled the fight a little bit more in that regard. I did have the range available to me, but with the, let's see here, where are they at? There they are. Nanite repair paste. So, you know, he had some DDAs which helped him out. If you look at the fit from our perspective, you know, that was here 78.3 DPS on drone damage, and that's not including the antimatter, which was running another 120. So they were already doing, realistically he was only doing about half the DPS we were doing. Oh, and I didn't look at that part. With a little bit more EHP, not by much. So it was actually a very even battle in terms of just straight brawling. So what really did me in there was just not controlling, you know, not manual piloting, not controlling the fight. If I had kind of moved out a little bit, taken the chance to mitigate off some of that damage, which would have been quicker and easier than trying to go after the drones, I may have actually won that fight because I could have gotten out beyond his weapons right there. So yeah, good fight, good run. I certainly had a lot of fun. Oh, you could have kept all that. That's fine. Is that all that dropped? Was just that little bit? By the way, I'm gonna save this fit. I'm gonna go over it. Are you sure you don't want to keep this stuff, Helga? Spoils of war and all that. There we go. All right, you're sure. Well, thank you.
Drive active.
All right. So yeah, that was Executioner PvP. In a nutshell. Clear those. So from here, we've got a couple different options. We can take the Executioner out into faction warfare space. and we can see if perhaps we can find
Mission request.
ourselves a target, an unwary individual in like
Docking request accepted.
a minor complex, I think it was, or a novice. Was it a novice? Yeah, it's a novice. Maybe perhaps we can do a little bit of damage. That could take a while. Another option too is we could just jump straight into the next frigate in our list, which would be the Punisher. So there are multiple directions that we can actually go for. I didn't realize this pod was so plain, or is that just me? I think I've got a skin for it. Oh, I don't. Okay, not on this one at least. Just seems way more gray than normal. Well, one thing that I do want to do, at the very least, with this executioner, is I do want to try it out in a T0. So at this point, at the very least, I'd like to see if we can actually make it through doing something worthwhile in the abyss. Let's see here. We'll be selling the cap boosters. We'll actually keep the radio. We'll go ahead and put the radio in here. It might actually be worth it for us to have radio.
Pilots, please be careful of the debris as you are undocking, and remember to turn your
Uranium charges, metal scraps. These. We'll keep the small focus pulse lasers. We'll probably need them. Actually, I'll keep the arbalist as well. I'm not actually sure. You know what? We'll keep this because we might actually be able to utilize that in a build in the future. And then let's see if we can sell all this for somewhat of a tidy profit. You know what? That's actually not bad. For all things considered, that's actually not bad at all. Okay, so let's do. First, I need the website. University. Missile sites. Okay, so if we're building an executioner specifically, close that. There we go. Thanks again, Yelga. I really appreciate the fight. If we're building an executioner specifically for Abyssal Dead Space, like everything else, we're going to want to make sure it gets built in a way that complements which Abyssal we're going for, because Abyssals are very, very specific in like what we would fight for or fight against. I would actually recommend maybe a Firestorm. It does -30, -50, -70% thermal resist for the penalty, but it also gives 50% bonus to armor HP, which is very good for us. So in that case, we could maybe get rid of this. I would suggest keeping that. Oh, okay, it's I'm not in. Okay. Simulate the fit. So we'll probably want to do, let's see here, it's thermal. So we could actually get rid of these two. Go into... There we go. That's why it looked weird. Small armor rigs. Let's see here, since it's thermal. Let's do a thermal reinforcer. Because you want to drive that thermal resist really high. And let's do... Let's unfit those. Let's do a... We want to make sure... Nanobot accelerator? Reduce... Okay, reduce the repair cycle. So it's the nano pump. Because I think that increases, yeah, repair amount. I want to increase the repair amount. Let's see if this will let me go to Tech 2. Yes. Okay, good. Well, which is also good for it. And then we will focus on the mediums, which are going to be something like... Well, actually, before we focus on mediums, let's go to smalls. So again, we're going to want to do... We'll try like a small armor rep 2. And then we will do... I would actually think... Yeah, that actually might be okay. So thermal and an ox nano, which gives us 106 HP repaired per 5.1 seconds. That's actually really good. And then what I was concerned about, which is the recharge rate. So we do, say, a cap battery. That gives it 5 seconds. And then a cap recharger. And that makes it stable. As an aside, we wouldn't be able to use the collision accelerator, but instead we'd probably want to
Skill training completed.
take that off and use something like
Please take extra care during our renovation works.
the metastasis. Tracking speed, yeah. Metastasis does tracking speed. Still running into problems with that. Let me see if I can do enduring. No, it's gonna have to be the compact. And rather than focused, we'll have to do... I think we actually have to go Gatling in this case. Yeah, because that will give us the turret tracking speed that we need. And then we actually don't need that. We can go back into this. And we can go into a collision. Another collision accelerator. And that actually should be enough to get us where we need to go. And actually we don't need this anymore. So then we can focus on getting something else for our medium. Might consider doing like a sensor booster. Just to kind of help us out a little bit more. Because it's I believe it's got a passive bonus too. Could be wrong about that. No. Passive targeter. I'd probably just go with a web. Yeah, something like that. Just to help us fight them. And what's that? New mail. Oh, there's the buyback email. Cool. I'll save that. I might need it later. Okay. Like, I mean, if we were taking the executioner into the abyss in PvE, this would probably actually be the route we would want to go. Radio scored conflag. Let's see. This question mark. We'll do. Okay, we'll give that a shot. I don't need the conflag. Don't need the executioner. I don't need the radio. I don't need the scorch. I don't need the damage control to actually exit this. I don't need... I need the Gatlings. Don't tracking speed. That should be everything that I actually need. I think. Okay. Wow. 9 mil. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and destroy these.
Pirate activity seems higher than usual. Please fly safe as you exit this.
Let's double. There we go. We'll do that. Simulation. Let's take off the focused. That's not what I wanted to do. Snapped right into that. Let's see here. Small focus, focused. Gatling. Let's group them. Let's do an armor repper. Small thermal reinforcer. Small aux nano pump. Taking off these two. Taking this out.
Pilots are reminded not to engage
Compact thermal.
and that all items are sold as SAAB.
Battery. Yeah, there's that. Okay, I believe that was everything. So let's go ahead and go into a T0. Let's grab what we need. T0 fire that we're setting up for. Tranquil we need. Let's just buy. Oh wait, we need 3. Okay. Complete. Make sure we have everything we need. Looks like we do. All right. Same thing as before. I'm actually going to head into Sobaseki, and we'll give this a try. And, you know, if this doesn't work, but this is actually the last thing. And then once we're done here, we're going to move on to my personal favorite ship, the Amarr Punisher. It is a ship that I honestly believe can best any other ship out there, even if I'm not good enough to do it myself, to fly it myself. It's a highly versatile ship, and it's something that, you know, you guys will see. In the near future, so it'll be good times. I think if I die in the abyss, I'm gonna get sent all the way back, yeah, to Samela. So let's go to... Let's just go to the sun. Let's just warp to the sun. I apparently... bug bite on my shoulder. Space mosquitoes are no joke, guys, so make sure you're careful if you're out in space. You find a big flying thing. It's probably a space mosquito, and they're really bad. Well, I'd say this time of year, but you know, they're just really bad right now. There's like a big swarm of them coming through the Milky Way. So just watch out. Just watch out. Let's go ahead and load up Scorch. No, let's load up radio. Interestingly enough, we're doing EM and thermal damage anyways. Because it does thermal damage. So they are weak to thermal, so this is actually really going to help us out. Set it up for frigate. And away we go. And here's hoping we don't regret our life choices by doing this. As you can see, they are already targeting us. Well, you want to orbit that. As soon as they get close enough, we'll hit them. There we go. They took no time in going after us. Although we're holding up pretty well, so that's actually pretty good. Please. There we go. Since they are close enough, we'll go ahead and switch to Scorch. Oops. Oh, I'm attacking the wrong thing, but that's okay, because that needs to go as well. Cool. Oh. And we'll collect the loot inside. Go ahead and shut it down so we can track it a little easier. Conflag and fire away at it. We're of course too far away. The asteroid's kind of getting in our way there. But we are holding up okay. There we go. Honestly, that was actually pretty good for a first room. And we're at 16 and a half minutes, so. Lucid escort. Orbit this. Switch over to conflag. And we'll just start hammering away at it. If it feels like your speed's going too high, you can always drop it down a little bit. We want to get as close in on this thing as possible in this particular case. So we want to make sure we're really hitting it hard. We obviously don't want it to be too slow. We want to keep up with it. We want to be orbiting it, not fighting it for control. So that's pretty good. Honestly, that was actually really good. Little tiny executioner. I'd say that's okay. Go to the last room and see what happens. 1.2 mil. I mean, you know, yeah, a mil. One of these guys. Okay. If we're gonna have any trouble at all, this is where we're gonna have the trouble. So first things first, we want to lock them down. And then we want to hit them with everything we got. Orbit as close as we can. And just pay attention to how much damage we're actually doing to them. And try not to get too far away. In this case, we are actually doing pretty good. Yeah, all things considered, that worked out very well. Let's max speed it over to the combinative cache. And then let's get out of here. And honestly, we did that all in under 10 minutes. So 6 runs, an hour. Fights and loading screens. Yeah, I noticed it getting a little bit laggy myself. So hopefully that's not, it doesn't seem to be the stream. It could easily be my computer though. So I am noticing that. Thank you for the heads up, Misa. Okay. So yeah, all in all, yeah, because things loaded pretty good for me there. But I am also close to Jeddah, and that might be part of it too. But yeah, all in all, 1.7 mil ISK is actually really, really good. So keep in mind that the executioner works okay for firestorms for the T0s. It's insanely good. That's really, really good. I'm certainly happy with it. I don't know if it'll keep performing like that, but I mean, so like even if it doesn't, obviously, I mean that would suck. But let's see here, where can I turn this in at? I can turn them in the lane. Let's set the destination. Let's head out there. Just so we can drop this stuff off and actually get a little bit of ISK back for everything we've done. And while we're heading there, let's go ahead and start going over the Punisher. Now, the Punisher is an interesting and, like I said, very versatile ship. It's one of my favorites on the Amarr. On the Amarr side, it is your... I really honestly believe it's your bread and butter Amarr T1 ship. That's my personal take on it. You guys might have other ideas. and you know, that's fine. Oh, excuse me. But more specifically and more to the point, the Amarr ship is the ship that I started with back when I first started playing this game. When I first became kind of a low sec pirate back in the early days, like 06, 07, something like that. You know, that's what I was flying around in all the time. That I was flying around in a Punisher, because you know, and that, like I said, that was my ship, that was my thing. And these days, it's seen more of a buff, more of an overhaul, just with everything that it does, or you know, with what it's been capable of. So it's got frigate bonuses of 10% reduction in small energy turret activation cost, and it's got a 4% bonus to all armor resistances. If we look at the Punisher itself in the ship tree, it has no drone bandwidth, no drone cargo space, 135 cubic meters of cargo hold space. It's got 4 high slots and 4 turret hard points, 2 mids and 5 lows, with of course the standard requisite 400 units of calibration for rigs. It's also starting out with a defense of 2500 EHP, which is actually pretty significant, all things considered. And if we look at its overall bonuses, we can see that its bonuses are even better than the Executioner's. Keep in mind, excuse me, these bonuses are higher because I have level 4 in Amarr frigate. So they're actually lower for everybody else. It also comes with 33% EHP across the board. And that's not something you find with the Executioner. I guess it is. If you look at the Executioner's overall HP and resistances, though, you can see that they are lower than the Punishers. The Punishers being a little bit higher because of that bonus to resistance. Let me go ahead and sell this stuff, and I'll get back to the Punisher. Not bad. All right, let's go back to Jeddah. Excuse me. Sorry. Been quite a day. So while we're getting back to Jeddah, let's get back to the Punisher itself. Now, the Punisher, being what it is, has, as far as community fittings go, it's got like quite a bit in the way of like what they've done with it, what they've fleshed out. There's an Air Amarr Enforcer, Soldier of Fortune, and then they've got the Eve Academy's version of the Soldier of Fortune. A lot of these are going to be based on like PvP. Like Soldier of Fortune specifically is like your starter PvP fit. You probably won't find a lot of differences between the two. fits between Eve Academy and what Air has. Amarr Enforcer is more of a PvE type fit, more specifically and closely designed around essentially, you know, new bros or people wanting to fight in something like that. You know, that could, you know, get them some ISK relatively quickly. Caldari is where they have some abyssal community fits. That's kind of interesting. They don't actually carry the community fit for like the Punisher T0 here, or even the Executioner Firestorm one that we found kind of works okay. If we were gonna do something like this, however, this isn't like, none of these are really the route that I would go, because you can do do both level 1 and level 2 missions in a Punisher, even with, as long as you're just fleshing out your skills. Let's go back to the trade hub here. So like, and I'm not saying that like the Amarr Enforcer build wasn't really good. Actually, we can even start with this baseline because it is pretty decent. At 3200 EHP, you know, it flies at a pretty fast maximum velocity, and it's stable on its capacitor. Like there's a lot to like about this. Not specifically the direction I would go, but there's a lot to like. And the multi-spectrum coating, by the way, can be replaced with whatever you're flying against. So like Garistas or Sancha or whoever. If you know the rats that you're fighting against, you can actually plan for those rats a little bit better, and that actually helps you out in the long run. Like, I'm not sure. I think they planned the cap control circuits like they did, just to kind of give you a chance to survive in case of newts and things like that. Not the route that I would go. These heatsink ones, I'd be replacing them with at least the metas. It will, of course, increase the cost, which is the downside. And again, you know, I've got more skills than, say, an alpha pilot might, or maybe you know, or definitely even what a new bro. I got like 12 million skill points at this point, I think is what it was. Yeah, 11.7. So I'm, as far as skills go for like flying frigates, I'm pretty well up there at the moment. But like, if you're wanting to do something like this, probably gonna want to do, and I would also replace the guns. In our case right now, we can use the Tech 2 guns, so that's what we would want to use. Gives us more firepower, gives us more capability. You know, as a kind of a new bro or alpha anyways, I would try to stay away from the focal maser, and I'd go with the focus modulated energy beam. It would be more expensive. Like, so if cost is a big, you know, like a big issue for you, definitely go with something like the focal maser or the modal laser or the anode particle stream or something, whatever your cheaper one is. Because early on, cost effectiveness is going to be what you need to go for. But if you can afford it, do the focused modulated energy beam. You're not going to regret the choice. Beam laser 2s are probably where I would go personally. I mean, and at that point, of course, you can use the Tech 2, like you can use gleams, and you can do crazy amounts of damage with the gleams. The only downside being, of course, that the gleams don't have a lot of optimal or fall off. So, like, Auroras give you a lot of range, like a whole lot of range. So you'd probably be spending a lot of your time in multi-frequency, which is still a pretty decent amount of range. Again, like I said earlier, Imperial Navy multi-frequency, if you have to use multi-frequency at all, is where it's at. Similar fall-off range, similar optimal, a little bit better damage. Spend the extra bit of this to get those Imperial Navies. They do run you for 1,000 runs, you know, 1,000 cycles before they break. So they're very good in any kind of PvE application. Or honestly PvP, especially since you're talking about using a Punisher. Now, before we get too far into this though, I want to point something out. It's on its bonuses, as I said in the beginning, it's got a reduction in small energy turret activation cost, which means you don't have to stick with energy turrets. If you have the skill to fly Amarr frigates and say you want to use let's see here, and say you're like really, for some reason, really well equipped on there's drone. Let's say you're doing really good with projectiles. You know, you've got a lot of Minmatar capability. You can do that. Go arty, go autocannon, and utilize that, because the activation cost bonus does not matter that much. It's really, really good because it means you can fire without worrying about draining out a lot of your capacitor, and you do have a lot of capacitor. Yeah, you still do have a lot of capacitor. So it's not like it's a bad thing, but it's also like not where you need to go. And in the Punisher is one of those ones that, like, if you look in the ship tree at other ships, like let's take a Minmatar for example. When we finally get to this, the Rifter is kind of more your bread and butter Minmatar attacky ship, right? Your bread and butter, what you're going to be flying the most as a new bro that's looking to do any kind of attacky based things, because you won't really be in a probe, you won't really be in a breacher, although the breacher is useful in missile rocket, which is kind of why I thought Yelga was gonna kick my butt there earlier. So the light missile and rocket rate of fire bonuses, I figured it was actually equipped for rockets, but evidently it wasn't. You know, so that's what you've got. Like, the Rifter doesn't have the same kinds of bonuses to, you know, to HP, you know, or defense. It's the same with the Galente, right? They rely on a lot on their drones. So like the Atron, for instance, it's still hybrid turret fall off and damage. The Maulus is sensor dampeners. That's their E-War. You've got the Incursus, which does armor rep and hybrid turret damage, which is great. The Tristan alone is very drone oriented. So the bonus to drone hit points and tracking speed, that right there is what likely killed me, because I did not burn down the Tristan fast enough. Plus the hybrid turret tracking speed allowed Yelga to actually utilize that to his advantage. But again, it's not tank. You know, it's offensive. It's offense, it's not defense. It's not survivability, which is what you need if you're doing a PvE based encounter. In some cases you need that for PvP, but only just to kind of gain a bit of an advantage. You know, you got Caldari, you're looking at kind of the same thing. The Condor does light missile and rocket damage bonuses, and only to kinetics, actually. That's kind of an important distinction. If you're using a Condor, you get that bonus only if you're using kinetic missiles. The Griffin, target jammer, Heron is their, you know, explo ship. Merlin, this one actually is the other big one. This one's got bonus to all shield resistances and small hybrid turret damage. This is actually better for a PvP encounter than it is for a PvE. Well, I mean, it's good for PvE as well, but this one's kind of got a one up on the Punisher in the fact that its default weapon, it's essentially its racial weapon, actually it has a bit of a buff and a bonus to it where it matters. And that's kind of interesting to note on that one. The Kestrel, damage and max velocity, but no real bonuses to defense. So the Merlin is the only other really kind of one for many encounters. But essentially what that means is that I can outfit this with artillery cannons or autocannons, or I could go and fit hybrids on it. I knew a guy that would put blasters on his Punisher because he could, because he really liked the idea of putting blasters on it. So like, yeah, if you really want to do like high tracking, for instance, you could do like, see, and I don't have the Tech 2s in this case. I think it's the light scouts. I actually don't know which ones do high tracking. I'm gonna have to find out. So here's all of them. They've all got the same reload time. They've all got the same activation cost. This is where they're gonna find different. No, they've all got the same turret tracking. Same accuracy fall off. Rate of fire. So I think it's probably in the bullets. No, here, okay, so here's damage modifier, like 3.4 for the light scouts. Optimal range. So light scout is probably where you want to go. I knew that was the case a long time ago, and it is a level 4, so that kind of makes sense. Yeah. So like, let's say, or let's say I wanted to do, you know, arties, right? Probably would do the scout artillery because I think that's the. I think it's kind of the same thing, right? Your accuracy fall off. Yeah. Turret tracking is much lower, so you're going to want to make sure you actually have some distance so you can keep that transversal where you want it. Rate of fire is the same. You know, power grid usage is the same. Damage modifier. Yeah, 8.4 for the scout. For the 280 millimeter scout. You could just put those on there and then throw in some charges. Throw in, in this case, I think it was phased plasma, I think, is your short range. Yeah, your optimal is 7200, and that's actually where you wanted to stay anyways, because you don't want to. Or no, wait, I'm sorry. With Minmatar weaponry specifically, your optimal does not matter. The only thing that actually matters is your fall off. The only one where optimal actually matters is Amarr. Amarr is where like you do the most damage in optimal. In any other race or any other faction's ammo and weapons, your fall off is like the only thing that actually matters. If I remember correctly, that was what was told to me a long time ago. So like 18 kilometers fall off, you're fine, right? You're just fine. And then, you know, like look at that HP. Look at that Alpha Strike. Huge. And here's your nuclear, right? So you've got and then depleted uranium, I think, is the other big one. Yeah, that fall off is huge. But they also do things to tracking as well. As you can see, the turret tracking changes. So like I could go to phase plasma, turret tracking changed again. So more of kind of a way to control the fight in a way. I guess we wouldn't want that, would we? And in that regard, we probably wouldn't want those either. So yeah, these are kind of some ideas. I'll go ahead and just hold that off until I know for sure if we actually need that. But like, these make for some interesting encounters. Like the Punisher, especially being the unique type of ship that it is, lets you fit it with whatever weapons you think would work the best for you, while still being able to take advantage of the Punisher's bonuses. So you, like, it's the Punisher alone as an alpha or nubro makes it worth it for you to get Amarr frigates to level 4, especially if you're going to PvP with it. So like if you've got, like I said, if you've got Minmatar or small projectile weapons to level 5, and you're doing autocannon spec and what's the other one? Artillery spec level 5, or level 1, level 2. Sorry, not level 5. And you're doing that, and you're using the tech 2 of those in a Minmatar ship. Train Amarr frigates to level 4 and use the Punisher and put those guns on the Punisher, and you're gonna see a whole new setup with people. It's gonna be kind of funny, actually, because most people, when they see an Amarr ship, they're gonna think lasers. To be fair, that's exactly what I would think too, because that's what I do. So yeah, PvE wise, however, if you're doing PvE, the best thing about Amarr is literally that they don't have to utilize Tech 2 or faction ammo or anything like that. They can use Tech 1 crystals and just never run out of ammo. So that's like one cost you don't have to worry about. As an aside, like if you look at,
Please note there has been reports of scammers in the local area.
let me see if I can market detail. Okay, so yeah, like in 26.99 is, so let's say I wanted to buy all 5,000 of these, right? I'm spending 134,000 ISK, 135,000 almost. And that's, granted, that's not a lot, but that cost can add up, especially if you're just firing and firing and firing and missing and missing and missing a lot. So that's kind of an aside. And you want, of course, also want to make sure you buy multiple ammo types anyways, no matter what kind of gun you fit. Just for fun, we'll go ahead and actually proceed further with this. I need to check and see what my skills are before I say, hey, yeah, let's go ahead and... Here's projectile. Okay, so I'm small projectile level 3, so this is actually where I would want to be anyways. So we got a couple different options. We can either choose to buff this with some more tank. We could try to flesh out our DPS. And with an Amarr ship specifically, one of the things that I do really like to do, and one of the things I often enjoy doing, is actually buffing it out. It's one of those ships that can actually fit a 400mm plate on and really buff out its EHP. Like in this case, we could do the 400mm rolled tungsten. Or if you don't want to go that route, you could do 200mm, I believe. You wouldn't get as close, but you would use a lot less power grid, which could help you in, say, any other fitting spec. Perhaps maybe, since we don't need to worry about the battery, you wanted to fit... Oh, I don't... Let's say you wanted to fit a small shield extender on there, right? You suddenly could. I don't know why you'd want to, but like you could dual buffer fit it, right? Maybe you'd want to do shield hardener for whatever reason, and run that. Or perhaps maybe just pop on a small shield booster, which of course then, you know, you'd have to worry about your cap. It could be easily fixed with rigs, just depending upon how you want to do things. Another option would be to fit an afterburner and a micro warp, which, you know, your power then of course suffers a little bit, but you know, you don't have to necessarily worry about that as much, because you can adjust that with your rigs. Another option could be like a small hull repair. You know, you want to make sure you get out. This might be the way to do it. And even still, you could keep it stable if you somehow get knocked all the way down into hull. So that could actually help you. You know, if they're hitting your armor really, really hard, perhaps maybe a hull repper could work out for you. I might go ahead and do that this time. There's not really a whole lot of use for that unless you're doing, say, a Weber, but we're probably not going to get close enough for the web to worry about being used. At least not in a PvE encounter. So now here we are, right? So like, what would be the big thing you would want to fit out? Obviously we can't use energy weapon rigging. We could think about projectile though. So like we could do contract. Oh gosh. A little PvP ship gift. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, y'all. All right. I will keep it. I hope I don't get it destroyed on the first day, but I will keep it. We will play. I'll show you guys on stream here in just a minute. Let's finish this up, and then we'll get into exactly what that contract entailed. Okay. Thank you, Yoga. What's up in Happy Banner? Oh, I'm sure it will. I'm sure we'll find some use for it. Like I said, we've got collision accelerator might actually help us out, because in this case, you know, of course, then our power grid is up. And in all honesty, I would also probably want to do like I can't think now. Let's do, here's an Ancil, so that way we can at least fit more stuff. Go back to this. Let's actually, instead of the collision, we need to do, is it Locus that does tracking? That's optimal range. It's rate of fire. The burst is rate of fire. Range, metastasis, tracking speed. Yeah, so I'd probably want to do like 2 metastasis, and that would improve the tracking to almost 100 points, which is really, really good for us. So let's go ahead and get this to start off with. I wonder why that went up, right? Okay, well, 7 is not too bad. And this is, of course, this will be like a PvE based ship. Let me fit it. That way I don't lose all that stuff. All right, so this the strimping. I love it. I love the name. Let's simulate this fit. So Yelga here. Yelga gave us, let's see here, small blaster spec, small hybrid turret 5. Okay, so we know what we're working towards. I will actually start. I'll make sure these are top of the queue. We'll be able to motion jamming 4. Oh, I probably pulled it off. Small hybrid turret 5. Here. I think that's in electronics. Yeah, here. There we go. Okay. So that'll get me partially there, and then we'll worry about the spec skill later. So the Daredevil, very interesting ship for all of those interested. This is one of the pirate faction ships specifically. It utilizes 2 frigate bonuses in order to make it. So you actually have to have both frigate skills trained to at least 1 before you can sit into a ship like this. It uses skill into frigate bonuses, which is 10% bonus to small hybrid turret fall off, and the Minmatar frigate bonus is 10% bonus to stasis web of fire effectiveness. These are all really, really good bonuses for a ship like this. This is designed for PvP specifically. Its roll bonus is 200% bonus to small hybrid turret damage. So let's see if it will actually let me see. And this, of course, we got the tech too. You've got null and void. Yeah, so 204 DPS on null, and void is 330.5. Keep in mind their fall off and optimal are like super low. But their turret tracking is super high. So like your optimal range is 1.6 kilometers, and your fall off is 3.7 on the void. Null, I believe, gives you longer range. Yeah, it gives you a bit longer, so you can kind of control it. So you basically want to make sure you get in super far, unload, reload as you need to make it work. And they've got the hybrid burst aerator, the low friction nozzle joints, and auxiliary thrusters, which helps in navigation. These two do, with the hybrid burst aerator doing rate of fire increases, so allowing you essentially to fire faster. This thing's gonna fit 80 units of null or whatever, essentially whatever ammo you put into it. So you're gonna be able to fire very quickly. And then top it all off, Yelga has added abyssal mods. Oh, let me. I can't see the abyssal mods like I want to. There we go. Okay, so yeah, I mean, they are deactivated. Like, some of these are deactivated right now because I don't have the skills for them. Actually, this one. Oh, propulsion jamming 4. Okay, so let's see here. I thought it was would show me. Okay, well, as you can see, anyways, maximum velocity bonus is actually reduced a little bit more than typical. The base value is negative 61.9%. It's negative 86.7, so it's actually a better velocity bonus. Its optimal range is also a little bit higher. And its activation cost is a little bit lower. Which makes it really good for a stasis web fire. Like, it's, I'll admit I don't know a lot about these things, like about the abyssal mods, but from what I've seen, and that's a pretty good mod. And then you got an abyssal warp scram, which again, it's got a lower activation cost. See here, it's got higher optimal range. Oh yeah, and it's got I want to say it's got lower CPU usage. I believe that's true. Actually, I didn't check that for the other one. Yeah, this one's got lower CPU usage as well. Its face value was 20. Am I right about that? Maybe. And we come over here. We've got a Shadow Serpentis small armor rep. This thing does, it's 5, its base value is 6 seconds, but it's 5.1 seconds for us. It does 92 HP of armor repair. And then the abyssal damage control alone. Let's see here, it came from a Tech 2. So it does more hull damage resistance across the board. They're modified slightly per one. Like our worst one right here looks like the explosive, structure explosive. And the fitting, like the CPU usage is a little worse. But either way, I mean, this is no. So those types of bonuses, like if you disable it, as you can see, it's just a base 33% across the board. So this really brings it up in line for like structure tanking. Like, I mean, with the way it goes. And then you've got the abyssal mag field stabilizer, which is specifically the it's the blaster version of the heat sink for the Amarr. You know, it's designed to be a way to increase your power, essentially your damage output. In this case, your damage modifier is much higher. Rate of fire is also bonus a little bit higher as well. And CPU usage is just a little bit worse. You know, as far as abyssal goes, I mean, that seemed like it was a pretty good roll. So, and then a multi-spec coating too. So, you know, really kind of helping out that. So like, it's not something you would expect to see on the field because of like the kinds of bonuses that you get from something like this. And of course, no drones and no drone bay. So yeah, this is going to be like a really, really, really good ship once we can finally get into it and really utilize it. The only other thing that I would want to train before I actually got into something like this, and I will have to work towards that, is get the thermodynamic skill, get it bought and get it built, get it trained, because these kinds of ships are designed to be heated. There we go. Just apply the points. It is one of those things that, like, you want to make sure you heat your mods. Like, if you're going into a fight with something like that, because it's a beefy ship, it's expensive, so which I guess I shouldn't say it's necessarily expensive. But I mean, well, the abyssal modules probably do make it really pricey, but its base default isn't actually too bad, especially given wormhole life. But it's still like not something you see every day, right? That's just kind of how that goes. The Daredevil specifically is what was it? It's not Sancha. Angel Cartel? Graymeal. Mordu's Legion then. No? Nope, I got it wrong again. I guess it is Blood Raider. Sure. No? Wow, I'm bad at this game. Little backstory. Ran the SOE ARC in that hull with polarized guns, then lost it in a hangar for a year. Found it last. Oh my gosh, wow. And you're giving it to me after it after you lost it. Oh, well, I appreciate it, Yelga. Here's hoping we can get a few kills with it before it dies gloriously in fire in the future. It will have its day. I can just remember where I... Guardian Angel, and there's Cartel. Angel Cartel. So it is Angel Cartel. That's what I thought. That's a Dramium. Did I miss something? Because I could have sworn that they had it on the actual ship tree.
Pilots, please be careful of the debris.
Designed by them, then stolen. Okay.
Remember to turn your shield and armor
Huh.
harnesses on before exiting the station.
I wonder where you get the blueprints for it then. What the lore goes. Okay. Makes sense. Oh yeah, that was the other thing I didn't show off was its overall speed. Let's go into simulate for it. Yeah, so its speed, by the way, is almost 4 kilometers a second. Just for the record, that's not something I showed off before, but that's a fast boy. And its range is 11 kilometers on the web, so you'll be, and given how fast this depletes, you'll actually be pulsing that. And you'll be pulsing the armor repper as well. That's kind of going to be the only way that it gets done. But still, wow. Serpentis? I looked at Serpentis. I didn't see that. Oh. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right, I'm dumb. Hey, I got 4 points in both though, so I'm really going to be able to utilize this thing. That's great. I got 3 points in the cruiser on the vigilant side too. That's actually that's looking really good. It looks like I'm kind of pretty well equipped on the frigate side for everybody, so that's doubly good. Okay, well now at least I know where it's at in the ship tree. Because yeah, that the pirate faction ships was one thing that I was gonna kind of get to after doing everybody. So, or all the 4 primary factions. So that's actually gonna be a really good thing to kind of show on the side. Like I said, guys, that's like strictly and directly PvP. That is like, we'll probably take that thing, I don't know, into nullsec somewhere. If I could get away with it, I would probably take it to Brave space to get some good fights, because Brave does a really good job of giving good fights. I might even just take it. I'm not sure where I would put it. I'm not sure where I would take it. I mean, probably just do OSAC, do faction warfare, and just find somebody to shoot. That could be a lot of fun. But at any rate, we'll figure that out in the future. Aim me. For now, actually, let me do that to PvE, because this is a PvE ship. For now, what we'll do is kind of continue on the track that we've been on. This time with the Punisher. This is actually about a pretty good place for us to go ahead and pause, because I would very much like to attend to my reactor that is screaming in my ear, telling me that it is fully charged and ready to go. When we get back, though, next or this coming Thursday, we will get into the Punisher. We'll just jump straight into a tier 2 mission. We'll see if we can utilize this in some other methods. We've already seen how it does on abyssals, so I don't think there's really a need for us to check it out. Good night, Yelga. It was good seeing you. Thanks for the fights. Thanks for the ship. Thanks for the fun. We'll check out some of the other PvE adventures with it, and then if there's time, we'll rebuild the ship and we'll jump into some PvP encounters with it, and I'll show you guys maybe a little bit of additional fun with, well, weapons of choice. We'll pick a weapon and we'll go for it, and we'll fit it out, kit it out, and see what happens. Until then, I hope you all have an adventurous day, adventurous week, and I'll see you in the verse. Night.